I shouldn't have been there that night. Alone, unsettled, and carrying the weight of a marriage that had turned into a quiet battlefield. But fate has its own way of misplacing people, especially those already drifting. The bar light was low, a warm gold that touched everything softly. I remember sitting with my untouched drink, staring at the ice melting the way my patience had been melting for months, slow, silent, inevitable. Then his hand brushed mine. Not intentional. Not planned. Just a gentle graze from the man reaching over to steady his friend's falling glass. But the moment his skin touched mine, a spark ran through my body like someone struck a match in the dark. I froze. Not in fear, but in recognition of something I shouldn't want. Sorry, a deep voice murmured. I turned, expecting a stranger. I found a storm. His eyes met mine with a sharp, searching warmth, like he could read emotions I hadn't spoken aloud in years. And yet, I still didn't know his name. He didn't smile. He didn't flirt. He simply looked at me like he'd been waiting for the moment our paths crossed. You look like someone who hasn't breathed properly in a long time, he said softly. My throat tightened. No one had noticed. Not even my husband. And here came this nameless man, reading me in a single glance. A soft beat of music spilled through the room, and somewhere in between that rhythm and his quiet voice, his hand found mine again, this time deliberately. Warm. Assuring. Dangerous. I'm sorry, he repeated. But he didn't let go. And I didn't pull away. Before I knew his name. Before I even knew my own intentions. He had found the parts of me I had buried. The parts that were lonely. The parts that were starving to be seen. The parts that were whispering for escape. And that was the first betrayal. Not the kiss that would come later. Not the nights I would replay in my head. But this moment. His hand over mine. My heart opening despite every warning I ignored. I didn't plan to see him again. I told myself that night in the elevator was a mistake, a moment of weakness I could bury under laundry, bills, and the normal rhythm of being a wife. But temptation has a strange way of circling back, smooth, slow, and intentional, like it knows your weak spots better than you do. And Michael knew mine. It happened 2 days later. I was coming out of the office pantry with a cup of lukewarm coffee when I saw him leaning against the hallway wall, arms crossed, shirt sleeves rolled up, that quiet confidence sitting on him like a second skin. He was talking to another manager, but his eyes slid to me the moment I stepped out. And he held the stare. Not politely. Not casually. But like he remembered every breath we shared in that elevator. My throat tightened. My palms went cold. My heart started beating like it was trying to run out of my chest. I tried to walk past him, pretending I didn't feel anything. But he moved. One step. Then another. Then he was right in front of me, blocking my path with that calm, heated presence. Morning, he said softly. Just that. Just that word, dripping with unspoken memory. I swallowed hard. Morning. You look different today. Different how? He leaned in, just enough for his breath to brush my cheek. Like you didn't sleep. My stomach flipped. I slept fine. He raised one brow. Did you? I hated how my body betrayed me, how the smell of his cologne, that clean, masculine scent, dragged the memory of his hands back into my bloodstream. I stepped away, but he caught my wrist. Not roughly. Not aggressively. Just enough to make my knees weaken. Don't run from me, he murmured. I'm not running. Then look at me. And I did. And that was my mistake. Because the moment our eyes met, everything I had been trying to bury came alive again, fire, need, confusion, guilt, all tangled into one dangerous thread pulling me closer. Michael, I whispered, we can't do this. Do what? He asked, stepping even closer. Talk? Breathe the same air? remember something we both felt? My chest tightened. I'm married. Yes, he said softly. But you're also lonely. That hit deeper than anything he'd ever said. Because it was true. Painfully true. Before I could respond, someone called his name from the end of the hall. He didn't step away, he just let his hand slide from my wrist to my fingers, dragging a slow fire line across my skin before he walked off. And I stood there, trembling, breathing too fast, coffee shaking in my hand. I knew then. I was in trouble. Later that afternoon, I found a note on my desk. No signature. No name. Just a location and a time. Parking level 3. 6:40 p.m. I stared at it for almost an hour, telling myself to throw it away. But I didn't. At exactly 6:40, my heels clicked through the quiet parking lot, each step heavy with guilt and anticipation. When I saw him leaning against his SUV, arms crossed, waiting for me like he had every right. I almost turned back. But I didn't. He stepped toward me slowly, like a man approaching something fragile and dangerous both at the same time. You came, he said quietly. Tell me why you asked me to meet you, I forced out. Because, he said, taking my chin gently with his fingers, lifting my face to his, you keep pretending you don't want what you want. I shouldn't want this. Maybe not, he whispered, lips brushing close enough to steal my breath. But you do. His closeness burned. My resolve cracked. My body leaned toward him before my mind could protest. And then, his mouth brushed mine. Not a real kiss. Just a tease. A spark. The kind that ruins your balance and your sense of right and wrong. My breath hitched. My fingers curled into his shirt. I didn't even realize I had moved until my chest was pressed to his. Tell me to stop, he murmured against my lips. I couldn't. Because I didn't want him to. Not anymore. Fire subscribers reminder. If you're still with me, please hit that like button, drop a comment, and subscribe for more stories. It keeps this channel alive, and it keeps me brave enough to tell the truth. Now, let's go back to my madness. He kissed me. This time fully, slow, deep, and consuming. His hands framed my face like he'd been craving it since the elevator. The kiss was rough at first, then softer, then rough again, like he couldn't decide if he wanted to devour me or worship me. And I let him. God help me, I let him. When he finally pulled back, I was breathless, my legs weak, my mind spinning. This is wrong, I whispered. But it feels right, he answered. And the worst part? It did. It felt dangerously, beautifully right. And that was the exact moment I knew. He was going to ruin me. And I was going to let him. I wish I could say I planned it. I wish I could say I fought harder. But that would be a lie. The truth is, I walked straight into the fire. His message came late that Friday evening, just 3 words. Are you awake? My husband snored beside me, his arm thrown across his chest like he was guarding some invisible wall between us. The room smelled like menthol rub and stale irritation. We had argued again, about bills, about my bad attitude, about everything except what truly mattered. So when the screen lit up with his name, I didn't hesitate. I typed back. Yes. He replied instantly. Drive to the lake. Same spot. My heart didn't beat, it slammed. It felt wrong. It felt reckless. It felt like oxygen after months of breathing underwater. I dressed quietly, almost shaking. I didn't wear anything special, just jeans and a plain hoodie. But when you're craving someone, clothes don't matter. The skin underneath does. Halfway out the door, I whispered to myself. Don't do this. But I still did. The lake was empty, except for him, leaning against his car like trouble with a heartbeat. The moon painted him in silver. His jacket was unzipped, his hands in his pockets, his eyes running over me like he was starving. "Thought you wouldn't come," he said. "You knew I would," I answered, my voice small, but my body already betraying me. He didn't touch me at first. He just looked. Looked like he had waited lifetimes for this moment. "God, I've been losing my mind over you," he whispered. Then he stepped forward. His palm curled around my waist. His breath brushed my ear. His thumb stroked the small of my back like he already owned that part of me. And that was it. The line I promised myself I wouldn't cross? Gone. When his mouth met mine, it wasn't a kiss. It was confession. It was surrender. It was everything I'd buried breaking free at once. His lips tasted like warm cinnamon and hidden sin. His hands roamed like he was mapping out everywhere he wanted to ruin me. And in his arms, I didn't feel like a wife, or a mother, or a woman exhausted by life. I felt like me. And that was the most dangerous part. Halfway through, breathless and trembling against him, he murmured, "You need to stop pretending you don't want this as much as I do." I didn't reply. My silence was the answer. My shaking was the answer. My lips searching for his again were the answer. His touch didn't just tempt me. It transformed me. Every graze of his fingertips rewired something inside me. Every kiss deepened a craving I could no longer hide from. Pushpin call to action, soft and whispered like the narrator breaking the fourth wall. Before I go deeper, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, because what happened next? Even I didn't see it coming. Because this wasn't just a moment. This was the beginning of a new secret life. And I knew. I wasn't going to walk away. Not from him. Not from the danger. Not from the heaven that hurt so damn good. This was the night I realized. Forbidden love doesn't ask for permission. It just happens. And once it starts, it doesn't stop. I wish I could tell you that I stopped. That I pulled myself out of the storm before it swallowed me. But the truth? By the time chapter 4 began, it was already too late. I was too deep in him. And too far away from the woman I used to be. Fire the night that changed everything. It happened on a Thursday. Not a weekend with excuses. Not a holiday with soft lights. Just a plain weekday, the kind where sins taste stronger because you know you shouldn't be there. He texted me. "I need to see you. Tonight." I should have ignored it. I should have deleted it. Instead, I replied. "Where?" We met at an Airbnb on the outskirts of town, the kind of place people use when they don't want to be seen. A small studio, dim lights, a couch, and a bed too close to the window. When he opened the door, he didn't say a word. He just looked at me. Like he was starving and I was the first drop of water he'd seen in years. He grabbed my waist. I grabbed his shirt. And the door slammed shut behind us, loudly, shamelessly, like it was sealing us in. Before anything, I whispered into his breath, "I need clarity." "What are we doing, really?" He cupped my jaw, kissed the edge of my mouth, and murmured, "We're doing what feels right, even if it's wrong." And just like that, I let heaven swallow me and hell wait outside. Fire the sweetness that felt like hurting. His hands moved like they knew me before I ever met him. Slow first. Then deep. Then desperate. Every kiss felt like a confession. Every breath felt like a promise I knew he couldn't keep. At one point, he whispered against my neck. "You're the only place I feel alive." Dangerous words. Beautiful words. Words that should never leave a man committed to someone else. But I melted anyway. Because deep inside, I wasn't any better. I wanted him too, enough to forget consequences, enough to risk the quiet life I pretended to love. The room smelled like candles and sweat and decisions we couldn't undo. The night felt endless, reckless, addictive. The kind of love that hurts while it's happening. but hurts even more when it stops. Fire the cruel aftermath. Around 2 a.m., reality knocked, not gently. His phone buzzed. Once. Twice. 3 times. A woman's name flashed on the screen. He turned it face down, but the damage was already done. I wrapped the sheets around myself and asked the question no woman in my position should ever ask. Do you still love her? He froze. It wasn't the freeze of shock. It wasn't guilt alone. It was hesitation. And hesitation is always an answer. I don't know, he finally whispered. But I heard what he didn't say. Yes, but I'm addicted to you. That was the moment heaven started to burn me alive. Because loving a man who loves 2 women is like holding fire in your bare hands. You can enjoy the warmth for a moment. But it always ends with scars. Fire the subscriber reminder. If you're still here, listening to my messy truth, please hit that subscribe button, like this video, and share it with someone who understands forbidden love. Your support keeps me brave enough to tell the rest. Fire the night's final blow. We lay there, breathless, quiet, bodies tangled but hearts far apart. He traced my shoulder with his thumb and whispered, I don't want to lose you. But he didn't say he'd choose me. He didn't say he'd leave her. He didn't say I was his future. He only said what men say when they want both worlds. And I let him hold me anyway. Because sometimes the poison tastes good. Sometimes heaven hurts so beautifully that you return even knowing it will destroy you. And that, right there, was the beginning of the end. I don't know how long I lay there on the edge of that hotel bed, my heart torn between the man who made me feel alive and the man who trusted me with his name. It felt like time itself was holding its breath, waiting for me to break. But the truth is, I was already broken. Jaden stood by the window, half-dressed, half-glowing in the last gold of the evening sun. He wasn't touching me, but I still felt him everywhere, on my skin, in my pulse, in the places he awakened and destroyed at the same time. He turned to me with that soft, dangerous smile. You know you don't want to go back, he said quietly. And maybe he was right. Maybe I didn't. Maybe love had a taste, and his was the one that stayed on my tongue long after reason left the room. But heaven was not a place you stayed unpunished. And forbidden love always ended in fire. I sat up, pulling the sheet around me like it could shield me from what I had become. My voice trembled when I finally spoke. We can't keep doing this. I can't keep hurting people who don't deserve it. He walked toward me slow, like a man approaching a wounded animal. His hands lifted my chin. But you deserve to feel something real. And you know I'm that for you. God help me. I did. But love that hurt like heaven was still hurt. Love that felt like fire still burned you to the ash. And somewhere between pleasure and guilt, I realized the truth. He wasn't my salvation. He was my escape. And escapes don't last forever. I stood. His eyes widened. A tear, just one, rolled down my cheek. I didn't wipe it. Goodbye, Jaden. It was barely a whisper. But it was enough to shatter him. He didn't chase me. He didn't shout. He just watched. Silent. Still. Destroyed. I walked out of the hotel room wearing nothing but my clothes and the weight of what we had done. And as the door clicked shut behind me, I felt the strangest ache. Not the regret. Not the guilt. Not even the heartbreak. It was the memory. The memory of a love that felt like heaven, but hurt exactly like hell.